all well. Welcome to another Marathon Wednesday, the day we tackle those big catalogues. And today's band is also a viewer's request. Today we're going to look at a heavy metal band from Newcastle upon Tyne, Venom. Now, Venom have been around. They were formed in 1978 and they came to prominence at the start of the new wave of British heavy metal. Now, Venom are a band that obviously I remember them coming out. I hadn't got any albums until not very recently, but I had a friend that was really into these, so I had heard of them. And I didn't mind listening to them. Venom to me are one of the, for me personally, they're one of them bands. I don't mind some of their songs, but there's a lot of it that I didn't like. Now this has been a great journey for me because I've rediscovered the band, and what you'll find when you go through this ranking, there's one part of the period of this band that I'm not particularly keen on, but the beginning and the later ones I actually like. So if you're a big Venom fan, if I put yours favourites towards the bottom, it's not because I don't dislike this band. I prefer certain things. We all listen to things differently, and not being a full-blooded fan of Venom, you know, this is like some of these albums I've never heard. So, but we all listen to things differently. I mean, I did this like that last week with Chrome, and I had some really positive feedback about Chrome, because again, Chrome are a band that I'm not really into. So we got 15 albums to do. The classic lineup of Venom, and the Venom that I sort of remember more is of course Conrad Chronos Lant on bass, Jeffrey Mantis on guitars, and Anthony Abaddon on drums. So we have got 15 albums, so I am going to get cracking. So coming in at number 15, we've got the fourth album, released in 1985, and it's Possessed, and it was the band's last studio album to feature Jeffrey Dunn before his first departure in 1986. So on this one we've got Cronos, Mantis and Abaddon. Power Drive. Now, for me personally, this is what I call crash, bang, wallop. And I don't understand what's been sung. I personally, in my opinion, this is just a load of noise and it just does do nothing for me. Flytrap. This is alright. This is fast and furious, and I don't mind listening to that one. I think it's got a lot of energy. Satanistic or Nistic. The drums on this don't fit the rest of the track. When I listen to this, you got the drums going off at 500 mile an hour, and Mantis and Cronos are trying to keep up with Abaddon. It's sort of, I like the idea of the song, but it just doesn't, not very coherent. Burn this place. This fast black metal, I've never been a great fan of it, to be honest. I just find the drums in this very irritating. Then Harmony Dies. This one's good. It's very Motorhead for me, and I quite like that one. Possessed, the title track, musically it isn't bad. I love the riffs in this, but unfortunately I don't understand poor old Cronos's vocals. Hellchild, I think this is my favourite track on this album. It's just good old heavy metal, and everyone seems to be on the same page on this one. It's a little bit more melodic, and that's probably why I like it. Moonshine, this isn't too bad. Great guitar solo for Mantis. I do like the guitar solo on that. He's a very good guitar player. Wing and a Prayer, again, not too bad. Suffer Not the Children, musically again, I like the playing on it, but it's the vocally it's very hard to understand what he's saying, but it is one of the better tracks on the album. Voyeur, I think the drumming's all over the place on here. It seems to be dropping the beat now and again. Good solo though in it, pretty good guitar solo like that. Mystique, I love the bass line in this. Chronos really gets some great grooves on the bass, and his singing's pretty good on this. Then the last track, Too Loud for the Crowd, another crash bang wallop for me. So this is the way the album ended. A lot of tracks on this to me, this is in my opinion of course, a crash bang wallop, but there are some half decent tracks on here. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 3 out of 10. Okay then, coming at number 14, we're going to the fifth album now. Released in 1987, sorry. Calm Before the Storm. This was originally going to be called Deadline, but the title was changed when Jeffrey Turn left the band and was replaced by Jimmy Clare and Mike Hickley. Both were to follow bassist Conrad Lant later in his solo career. So on here we've got Cronos, Mike Hickley, James Clare and Abaddon. First track on this one's called Black Xmas. I don't mind this. It's pretty good heavy track. The chanting of the priests, just box standard heavy metal, nothing wrong with that though. Not a bad track. Metal Punk, I must admit this did give me a bit of a headache. I just don't like anything about it. Under Her Spell, some nice guitar work on this, but it's dominated by the drums, which are pretty good on this, but they do sound a little hollow in places. Calm Before the Storm, one of the best tracks on this album. Just a good track, like that one. Fire, this one isn't bad here, it's listenable, I've got no problem with that. Beauty and the Beast, it's just how can I put it, it's a bit monotonous. There's nothing, it sounds like all the tracks previous, there's no change in it, it's just the same all the way through. You need to break it up, it's a little bit monotonous, that one. Deadline, again, it just doesn't sound no different to all the other tracks. Gypsy, again, not my cup of tea at all. Muscle, this one isn't too bad. It's got a different drum beat on this one, which makes it pretty good. Unfortunately, I find this album pretty monotonous. There's no variation. All the songs sound the same. And okay, that's heavy metal, but at least with other heavy metal bands, you get a little bit of variation. There's no variation on this one, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 3.5. Okay, then coming at number 13, we go to the 11th album, released in 2006, Metal Black. This is to play on the name of their 1982 album Black Metal, but this was the last to feature. These weird names I struggle with. Mycophus was the last to feature him on the guitar. So we got Cronos on bass, guitar and vocals, Mycophus on guitar and Aton on drums. First track on this one is Antichrist. I like this. It's just got a good heavy beat, great bass line from Chronos, a really good track. Burning Hell. The drums on it sounds like it's played on a Fisher Price drum kit. It really, the production on the drums on that is not very good. It's a shame because it's pretty good. House of Pain, do like that opening riff. It's pretty awesome. Good track. Death and Dying doesn't sound much different from the House of Pain, to be quite honest. Then we got Riga Santas, the best track on the album. It's a little bit more melodic. Got a great bass line on here, and the guitar work for Microvus is pretty good. It's a damn good solo. Quite impressed with that track, because this is one of these albums I hadn't heard before. Darkest Realm isn't too bad. Great solo again and some good drumming. A Good Day to Die, I don't mind this one either. It's got a good beat to it. There's no flashiness, and I like how the beat changes in this. It slows down and then comes back up again. It's not a bad track. I quite like that track. Assassin. It's the only word that you can hear reasserting. It gets a little bit boring. A lot of thought went into writing that one, I think. Lucifer Rising. Unfortunately, this is what I've nicknamed Crash Bang and Wallop. Blessed Dead, a great drum beat on this. It really fits the song. It just sounds great. Hour of Darkness, I like this. It's got a nice melodic sound to it. It's just good old-fashioned heavy metal. Sleep When I'm Dead, this starts off fast and furious, and then it just slows down a little bit for this sort of genre. It's not too bad. Maleficarum just sounds like the rest of the album songs. No, it's just a little bit monotonous. Title track, Metal Black. I don't like the drumming in this. It's about 5 beats in front of everybody else. But when it does, I don't know what this is, but when they slow the drums down, it actually sounds good on these albums. Another album that doesn't, this is again a mixed bag. It's got some good tracks on it, but a lot of the tracks on here I just didn't connect with. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 4 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 12. Now, I know this might upset a few people because I have watched some other rankings. This is the third album from 1984, At War with Satan. It's a concept album, of course, and it tells the story between a war between heaven and hell, which the latter side wins. It's the classic lineup of Chronos, Mantis and Abaddon. First track is At War with Satan. Now, for thrash metal, this was very ambitious to do a 19-minute track, and I've got a lot of respect for these 3 guys for trying this. No one of this in this genre tried doing a track of this length. I think it's a little bit too long, in honesty, but there are some really good bits in this. Some of Mantis's guitar work on this is pretty impressive. I was quite impressed with this, and obviously I'd heard this track before to my friend, and I really listened to it, and I've actually got a lot of respect for Venom, because I think of all the bands of this sort of genre, these are one of the better ones. They have, I mean, in this, there's a lot of thought gone into this. There's a lot, it's not just crash bang wallop this. This is a lot of thought, and it's not bad at all. I really get what they're trying to achieve there. Rip Ride, not too bad. A bit, everything is coherent, and it's got a sort of adhesiveness to it. It's really good. Genocide, it's all right. Cry Wolf, my favourite track on this album. It's got a really good riff that you just can't get out of your head. Stand Up and Be Counted, it's okay, nothing special about that one. Women, Leather and Hell. This is Motorhead on speed. I mean, they were on all sorts of things anyway. That's the only way I can describe it. It's not too bad again. And then we get this thing called Ah. It's awful. I like to switch it off. It's just a load of noise. Okay, I don't think this should have been a concept album, because I don't think it's got the flow of a concept album. But there is a big but here. Very brave thing to do, and in the big picture, I think they did pull off a reasonably good album here. It's a bit ambitious, but fair play to the guys. That's all I'll say on this. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 5.5. Okay, then coming in at number 11, we have the 10th album, released in 2000, Resurrection, and it was actually the last album to feature Mantis. He come back, but this is the last one he ever played on. So we got Chronos, Mantis, and Abaddon, which is his real name is Anthony Lant, brother of Conrad, known to us as Cronos. First track on here is Resurrection. This has got a really nice opening riff. It's that great classic heavy metal riff. Pretty cool. Great guitar from Mantis. Good track. Vengeance. It's alright. Not one of my favourites. War Against Christ. This isn't too bad. I can go with that one. Then we get all there is fear. Good track. Nothing wrong with that. I do like these later ones. They've matured, and obviously the music has changed. So there's some good tracks on this. Then we get Pain. I like the middle bit of this, where the drums and the guitars have a little bit of a play round, and it sounds pretty good. Great guitar work for Mantis. Then we get the track called Pandemonium. I like this. It's my favourite track on the album. It's more traditional heavy metal. It's got a great beat to it. I like it. Loaded. You can't understand the lyrics, but I like the energy of this track. It just got lots of energy. Firelight. Not a good track, but there's one good thing on this. The guitar solo from Mantis. It's brilliant. Black Flame of Satan. Got some really good riffs on here. Another cracking solo for Mantis. Control Freak. This is one of them songs where the drums are out of kilter with the guitars and bass. Seems they are trying to compete against each other on this. It just doesn't sound right. Disbeliever. That's alright. Then we get Man, Myth and Magic. I don't mind this track. It's got a really good bass line, and one of Cronos' best bass lines on that. It's a terrific little song. 13, basic heavy metal song, not bad at all. And then we get Leviathan. Still troubling speaking, which is annoying. Okay, this is a little bit Black Sabbath to me. Heaven and Hell sort of thing. Really good track, and I do like the guitar solo on this. Mixed bag album again. It's got some good tracks, and it's got some mediocre ones. But on the whole, it wasn't a bad album. Never heard it before until I started doing this, and I was got quite into it. And I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 5.8. Okay then, time for a sip of coffee. That's better. So we've got to number 10, and we're going to look at the 8th album now. And it came out... Okay. I've got to remember to put the date when these albums come out. Do a NCIS slap of the back. Sorry, I'll put it up, and there it is somewhere around me. This was the last album for the singer when Cronos left, Tony Demolition Man Dolan, and it was the last before the reunion of the classic Venom lineup. And it's the Wastelands. This is Tony Demolition Dolan, Anthony Abaddon Bray on drums, Jeff Mantis Dunn on guitar, Steve White guitar. This was his only album with Venom, and Trevor VSX Sewell on keyboards. Yes, keyboards on a Venom album, and this was his only album. So the first track on here is called Curse. I really like this. I love Tony Dolan's vocal. He's a great singer. And the keyboards actually give this atmosphere. I'm Paralysed, more crash bang wallop, but it reminds me of Halloween, and I don't mind this track at all. A little bit of good crash bang wallop. British Legions, don't mind this track again. It's melodic metal, that's pretty good. Riddle of Steel, great vocal from Tony on this. Some great drumming from Abaddon. Really good stuff. Need to Kill isn't too bad, but I don't like the drumming on this one. Kissing the Beast, it's fast, it's ferocious, and it's got a great riff in it. Crucified, my favourite track on this. I love Mantis's guitar solo on it. It's one of his better ones. Pretty cool. Shadow King, so we're right, it's not spectacular, but it's listenable. Wolverine, a bit mediocre, but the guitar solo again is pretty good, and it's got the drumming's a little bit off on this one. Clarice, not too bad. Now I like this album. I think it's a little bit more melodic. I love Tony Dolan's voice on this. It's not a bad album, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 9, it's the 9th album, and it was the first album that featured the original lineup in 12 years. Again, I didn't put the date on this, and it's the album's cast in stone, but the date's flying around us as we talk. So we've got Chronos, Mantis and Abaddon. It's that classic lineup. And the first track is The Evil One. A little bit more melodic for this lineup of this classic Venom, but it's pretty good. I like that one. Raised in Hell. It's got some great guitar licks on this. Mantis is really playing well on this. The fast and furious drumming that really sort of, in places it goes out of kilter, but he pulls it back, which is pretty good. All Devil's Eve, again, I love this. It's got a little hook, and I don't mind it. It's a really strong track. Bleeding, I like this because it's just dark, heavy metal. You know, the Black Sabbath doomy sort of metal, and it's pretty good. Destroyed and Damned, doom metal again. I like the riffs in this though. Domus Mundi. This is probably one of Abaddon's best drumming he ever did with Venom on a track. It's a little bit different and it actually works. It's a pretty cool track. Flight of the Hydra. It's alright. God's Forsaken. Love the opening riff of Mantis on this. Proper heavy metal riff. It's a really good track. Best one on the album. Mortals isn't too bad. Infectious. Nice melodic heavy metal song. Pretty good. I like that. Kings of Evil. Great bass line. And I'll tell you what the bass line reminds me of. Horsham Common from War of the Worlds. It's a little bit slower, but it's got that sort of feel to it. I like that bass line. It's terrific. You're All Gonna Die. Another strong melodic track. Nothing wrong with that one. Judgment Day. This is very Black Sabbath, and I've got no problem with that. Swarm. I like this one. I know there's a lot of die-hard fans that won't like this, but I like the Mystique guitar on this from Mantis. It's pretty cool. I mean, having watched a few of the other ones, as I said, rankings, a lot of people have put this towards the bottom of their lists. But I personally like this album. I think it's pretty good. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.2. Okay, then coming in at number 8, we have the 15th and most recent album from 2018, Storm at the Gates. This has got Chronos on it and the new guitarist Larage, and Dante, which is Danny Needham, on the drums. First track on here is called Bring Out Your Dead. Not a bad song, a little bit different for them, but I like it. I like the thrashy metal thing, and I do like the solo in this, pretty good. Notorious, another good track. Like the guitar riffs in here, some great drumming here from Danny. Solid track. I Dark Lord. They haven't left their past behind them. This is quite thrashy. Great double bass drumming on this. Absolutely really good. 100 Miles to Hell. This is just a little bit too much for me. I'm not very keen on that one. Drums are about 400 miles an hour and everyone's trying to catch up. Then we get my favourite track on this one, Dark Night of the Soul. Lots of great riffs, just a strong heavy metal track, that one. Beaten to a pulp, great guitar solo on this. I like the melodic, deep, meaningful melodic riffs in this, very good. Destroyer, killer guitar solo from Larage. The riffs are strong in this one as well. The Mighty Have Been Fallen. I don't like this, it's just crash bang wallop. Over My Dead Body, interesting. I love the drumming at the beginning of this, it's pretty cool. Suffering, a little bit of a filler track here. Not the best vocal performance either. We the Loud, fast and furious stuff, but there's lots of grunty vocals on this. But the actual playing on it's pretty good. Immortal, not too bad, very solid track. And the title track, Storm the Gates, good solid track. I like this one. I'm probably going to have a lot of diehards fans giving me hell for this one, because a lot of people don't like this album, but I like this album. I think it's an underrated album, and the music has moved on. You can't play what you were playing in the 80s. They've matured a lot, and I think this is a pretty decent album personally, so I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, coming in at number 7, we go to 2008, and the 12th album, Hell. And this is the first album that featured Larage on guitar, and it was the last to feature Abaddon on the drums. So we got Cronos, Larage and Abaddon. First track is Straight to Hell. This is great. Great shredding on here, and the guitar licks are brilliant. Great bass line, it's a good track. The Power and the Glory, I like this track. It's very Motorhead, and I love Motorhead, and the drumming on here is brilliant. Yeah, that thumping of the double bass drum is awesome. Hand of God, like the sharp riffs in this at the beginning, and the drums are great in this as well. Solid track. Fall from Grace, it's okay, it's not a brilliant track. Hell, like this, very very good track. Great bass line that drives the song along from Cronos. You've got Larage putting in some great riffs on this. Evil Perfection, it's got what I call the galloping metal riff, really strong. Like this track a lot. My favourite track then comes Stab You in the Back. Love the bass line on this, the drums are great, and then you get the guitar coming in. Probably one of my favourite tracks by Venom. Armageddon, again some solid riffs in this, some great drumming, absolutely brilliant. Kill the Music, pretty mediocre for me on this one, just a bit of generated metal really. Evolution, Devolution, a really strong song again. Driving riffs, pretty good. Then we get Blood Sky. It's okay, not too bad. USA for Satan, Fast and Furious. A little bit too fast, but it is. It's a little bit coherent, so it's not too bad. Then we get an instrumental called Dirge and the Awakening. This actually shows how good the band are at playing, and I really respect that. You know, they are, all the people that have been in this band are really good musicians for what they are doing. It's a genre that I'm not a great fan of, but I totally respect what they've done and their contribution to music. I think it's a very good, solid album, and I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 6.6. Okay, then coming in at number 6, we get to the 13th album, released in 2011, and this is Fallen Angels. On here we've got Chronos, Larange and Dante. First track is called Hammerhead. I love the opening drums from Dante. Larange guitar works pretty good. It's a good solo as well. Nemesis, no. Crash Bang Wallop doesn't do nothing for me. Pedal to the Metal. Love the title, and it's a really good track. Great bass line from Cronos, solid stuff. Lap of the Gods, I love this track. The guitar work from Larange is pretty good, and it's a pretty good song. Damnation of Souls, another of those Cronos bass lines that drives the song along, but the rest of the track is a bit mediocre. Beggarman, another great bass line from Cronos. Love the riffs on this. Hail Santos, solid metal track for this band at the time of their career. Excellent stuff. Sin, the bass and drums on this work beautifully together on this. It's a really good track. Punk's Not Dead, another bass driven track from Cronos. The drumming is pretty good as well, and it's got a little bit of back punky feel to it. Death Be Thy Name, another great track. Cronos' bass playing on this album is terrific. That's just something else. One of his best albums for bass playing. And then we get Least We Forget, a little short rock track, but it's got a great riff in it. Really catchy riff. Then we get Valley of the Kings. It's my favourite track on this album. I love the driving bass line again. It just really adds to it. And then Fallen Angels, another good track. I really like this track as well. As I said, this has been a discovery of a journey with Venom, and I've discovered on this journey with Venom that I like, as I said, I like some of the earlier ones, but I do like these later ones a lot. I think it's because they're quite melodic heavy metal, and this is a really strong album, and I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 6.8. Okay then, coming in at number 5, we got the 6th album, released in 1989. It's Primeval, and it's the first album with Tony Dolan, the former Atomcraft bassist. And on here we've got, of course, he goes under the name of Demolition Man on bass and vocals, Mantis on lead guitar, Al Barnes, which is his first album, on rhythm guitar, and Abaddon on drums. So it's a 4-piece band for this album. Primeval is the first track. I like this. It's a little bit different for the band. They're changing the sound, and I love this 2 guitars. It really is a good track. Parasite, great bass line from the Demolition Man himself, and a great vocal on this. Excellent track. Then we get Blackened Are the Priests. I love the monk chanting on this at the beginning. It's really good. Really gives it atmosphere, and it's a damn good track. Carnivorous, really fast and furious with some great riffs. Solid track. Skeleton Dance is a little bit crash bang wallop. And then we get a Black Sabbath track. We get Megalomania from the Sabotage album. It's not a bad version, I suppose, but it's not as good as Black Sabbath's. But fair play to them for having a crack at it. Insane. This is another track that I'm not particularly keen on. The drums seem to be getting faster and faster as the track goes on. Harder Than Ever. Solid track. Some more conventional rock riffs on this, and the drumming's really good. And I like the guitar solo on this from Mantis. Very, very good. Into the Fire is more of a conventional rock track, really. Totally different from what they've been doing, but I like it. Then we get School Dies. This reminds me so much of Saxon. I love this track. Again, one of my favourite tracks by the band. The drumming's great. The guitar riffs are electric. That double guitar actually really works. It's a great track. What a great way to end the album. I love this album. It's got some really good tracks on it. I think it's one now I've put in my library. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, then coming at number 4, we get another 14th album from the Very Depths, released in 2015. We've got Chronos, Lagrange and Dante. This is a pretty good lineup, I think. Eruptus. It's a little short intro. It's typical of heavy metals. Lots of noises, lots of typical things going on, giving you atmosphere. That goes into From the Very Depths. It's got some great guitar effects on here. Some great guitar playing from Lagrange or Lagrange. Very melodic. Then we get The Death of Rock and Roll, solid track, Crank. Some great guitar work here from Lagrange, and Dante's drumming is just electric on that track. Smoke, something different again. Some great guitar effects on this. Nothing that you would expect from this band, but it works, and I think the bass line complements the guitar effects. Excellent track. Temptation, tremendous start here with them double bass drum, and we've got some great guitar riffs on this. Long-haired Punks. I like the deep melodic riffs in this. The double bass drum is electric. I love the bass line. It's an awesome track. Stigmata Santos. Don't like this. The vocal approach is too grunty. Crucified. This is more like thrash bands sort of thing, but it's a mature thrash metal track. They've taken them elements from the early days of thrash, but just made it a little bit mature, and it sounds really good. Evil Law, it's okay. Grinding Teeth, a bit of a filler track on there. Then you get this little eerie piece of music called Overture. And then we get Metaphysica. Oh dear, I can't pronounce this. Mephistopheles, something like that. A little bit of filler track, doesn't do nothing for me. The Wings of Valkyrie, it's okay. Rise, love that driving riff. There's a lot of tracks on this, a bit of filler, but on the whole it's a damn good album, and I like this style of Venom very much, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.2. Okay, then coming in at number 3, we go to the 7th album, 1991. Temples of Ice. This one also features Tony Demolition Dolan on the vocals and bass, Jeff Mantis done on guitar, Al Barnes on guitar, his last, and Anthony Abaddon Bray on the drums. So we've got Tribes, great bass line from Tony Dolan, absolutely belting track, really drives the song along. Even in Heaven, a little bit of acoustic guitar start on this, pretty different. Pretty cool. Then we get a track called Trinity, with Roman numerals, MCMXLV. Love this track. It's a gentle start, and then it builds up. The bass line comes in, and then you get a brilliant guitar solo from Mantis. Solid track. Then there's a track in memory of Paul Miller, 1964-1990. Does anyone know who this Paul Miller is? I tried to look it up in Venom. Must be someone that's connected with the Venom camp, but it's got a booming bass line from Tony Dolan. Really strong track. Great guitar work for Mantis. So if you're a big Venom fan and you know who Paul Miller is, can you put it in the comments below, because I'm bugging to know who this guy was. Then we get Fairy Tale, another great guitar track, and it starts off with acoustic guitar again, something you don't expect from this band, but it's a really good track. Playtime. It's a bit rock and rolly, this is. Bit different. It's not too bad. Acid, not my cup of tea. Acronymed, solid track, great little rock track. Then we get a cover of Deep Purple's Speed King. This version is not very good, it's too fast. Doesn't do the track any justice. Then we get the title track, Temples of Ice. Really good track. I love the guitar solo in this from Mantis. I think this is a really good album. I think this was the best album that Tony Dolan did with Venom. Every track's good except Speed King. So I'm going to give this an RTA ranking of 7.5. Okay, then, coming in at number 2, we go to the second album from 1982, Black Metal. This is Chronos, Mantis and Abaddon. Black Metal. Very different from the first album tracks already. More speedy, more thrashy. This is really good. I like that track. To Hell and Back. Great metal track. Some great riffs in this. Absolutely brilliant track. Buried Alive. I like this track. Cronos' vocal on this is pretty good. Strong riffs from Mantis. Solid track. Raise the Dead. Love the guitar solo on this. It's got, of course, got some twiddly bits in this, which is something you don't expect from Venom, but it just proves that Mantis is a good guitar player. Teacher's Pet. Great riffs in this. It sounds so much like Motorhead at the time as well. It's a great track. Really like that one. Leave Me in Hell. This is just good old-fashioned heavy metal. No thrash or speed. It's just proper heavy metal. Song from the time. Excellent stuff. Sacrifice. Great guitar solo in it. Some great shreds and licks from Mantis on that one as well. Heaven's on Fire. Not too keen on this one. This is where I think they started to get a little bit faster and furious. Countess Bar 3. This is one of them songs that's got elements of Motorhead and Black Sabbath. I think two bands that they sort of were really into. The riffings on this is pretty great from Mantis. Don't Burn the Witch. Love that opening riff to this one. Great bass line from Chronos. Some strong riffs. Really good track to end the album. Now this is an album that up until about a few weeks ago, I've heard it because my mate had this. And when I listened to it again, I thought, God, this was a good album for the day. I remember it coming out, and I've now put this in my Spotify library because I've got a lot of fondness for this album, and I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7.6. Okay then, number one. Bit obvious for me, this one was. It's an album that I haven't heard quite a lot, and I remember my mate getting this when he'd come out because he was well into it. And it's of course the debut album from 1981, Welcome to Hell. Chronos, Mantis and Abaddon. Sons of Satan opens up the album. Great track. Love it. Really heavy. Welcome to Hell. I remember when my mate first played me this, I thought, oh, I like this. It's actually a good track. Excellent. You know, proper heavy metal rock. Brilliant stuff. Then we get Schiznoid. Another really good track. Great riffs in that. Terrific stuff. Mayhem with Mercy. A very short piece of acoustic guitar, which again you don't expect with Venom, but it's quite nice. Mantis showing his guitar skills off there. Then we get one of my favourite tracks, and probably my favourite track of all time, Poison. It's absolutely brilliant. It reminds me of Motorhead. That's a really good track. Live Like an Angel, Die Like a Devil. Very new wave of heavy metal. Great track. Witching Hour. Just good old fashioned new wave of British heavy metal track. Absolutely brilliant. 1,000 Days in Sodom. Another track reminds me of Motorhead of the time. Obviously influenced by Motorhead. Really good track. Angel Dust. Probably one of the weaker tracks on the album. In League with Satan. I love Cronos' vocal on this. It's pretty good. And I love the drums on this. It's a terrific track. Then we get the last track, Red Light Fever. The biggest shock on here, you don't expect a violin, but you get this. It's a solid track with some great riffs. Okay, I think this is number one for me, because obviously I've heard this album a lot, because my mate played it a lot. And I did say at the time that I think Venom were a poor man's Motorhead. I never brought any of their albums at the time, but again now I've got this in my library, and what I've, you know, coming to the end of this little journey with Venom, I think when I look at it, I love the first two albums, and then when they started getting thrashy, I think that's when I went off them completely. But now these days, I like the mature Venom as well. Bit more melodic. I know there's a lot of fans out there that just love the crash bang wallop stuff, and I appreciate that. And if you like that sort of thing, that's great. But personally, I never was really into thrash metal. There's only one or two bands I like Metallica and Megadeth. I think because they were melodic with it. But I've never really got on with this crash bang wallop and grunty noises for vocals. It just didn't do anything for me. But what I will say about Venom, out of all them bands from thrash metal and speed metal, I think that this is probably the best British one, and I've got a lot of respect for that. I think that they're all accomplished musicians, and even though I don't like the thrashy stuff, listening to it, there is some of the guitar solos on them tracks are amazing. I really think they're amazing. So for this album, I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. So I've actually enjoyed doing this one, because it's sort of give me a little bit more into a really good band. I mean, I looked at their history and they've sold a lot of albums. So, total respect to Venom. Okay, that's all for today. Just a few reminders. One for the dates for your diaries. 4th of August, it's a Thursday, and it's the first live stream that I'm going to attempt. Probably won't be a long one, just to see how we go. I mean, I've gone through this today no stops all the way through. First time I've done a marathon since my Bell's palsy, so if things are going in the right direction. So remember, the 4th of August, 8 p.m. I'll be back. Rocky will be back. Mastermind Dave will be back. We are looking forward to it so much. So that's all for today, folks. Just before we go, okay, you big Venom fans, don't give me a hard time. We all listen to things differently, which if we all like the same things, we'd be pretty boring. But we do like to hear things differently. We've all got different ears. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow where we've got a battle of the debuts, and we're going to do a bit of new wave. We're going to look at the debut albums from two big bands from the early 80s, Spandau Ballet and Duran Duran. And album artwork tomorrow is one of my favourite bands. We're going to go through the album artwork of the brilliant AC/DC. So join us for that. Also, there'll be a little video of telling you what's up next week as well. So have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you all tomorrow.